your weekend pregame, because The View is live. Coming for Kellyanne. Conway's clash with Hillary's aides claiming racism helped get Trump elected. Are they just being sore losers? And the Trump sex effect? How his victory could be impacting bedrooms around the country, even yours. Plus, the front page star Holland Taylor on her heartwarming moment with partner Sarah Paulson that stole the show on Emmy night.
Holland Taylor, I love you.
Let's get this party started with Joy Behar, Sunny Hostin, Paula Ferris, Sarah Haynes, and Jedediah Bila. Now, let's get things started.
Welcome to The View. Thank God it's Friday and we're here. I want to start with a question for men out there, okay? Are you listening, you guys? Uh-oh. Have you noticed that your wife is disgusted by the sight of you lately? Would she rather get a root canal than see you naked? Well, you shouldn't have voted for Trump, okay? What? Thank God it's Friday and we're here. I want to start with a question for men out there, okay? Are you listening, you guys? Uh-oh. Have you noticed that your wife is disgusted by the sight of you lately? Would she rather get a root canal than see you naked? Well, you shouldn't have voted for Trump, okay? One therapist calls it the Trump bedroom backlash because her clients have lost their sex drive since Trump won. So here's my question. Is Trump causing erectile dysfunction?
Very clever.
What do you
Why
think?
are you inviting Trump into the bedroom to begin with? I mean, there's nothing that's going to come between me and my man in the bedroom, except maybe Hugh Jackman. But I mean, why? I don't want to visualize Hillary. I don't want to visualize Trump.
I don't think they're visualizing anything. I think
why are you letting it get in the way of your relationship?
I think women feel the need to assert their authority and their power because I feel like they saw this guy come to power. They feel, like they feel like this guy came into power who didn't respect women. And, sex for women, I think, is a vulnerable experience more than men. I think they feel vulnerable, and I think it's their way of sort of lashing out, not at their man, but at society, at like, wait a minute, no, you do have to respect me. I am in control. I can still be in control of my life, even though this guy is in power now, who's running the country, who has said some things about women that concern me and that make me a little insecure about where I'm going to be, where I'm going to be with my job, where I'm going to be, am I going to be respected the same way, what's going to happen to me? And I think they go into their bedroom and they face their man, and it's like a power dynamic that they're kind of working through. I get it.
I get it. I think it's the overall divisiveness of the campaign in general, because I think the problem is you come home at the end of the night, you have dinner, you have a drink, you're watching the news, you start talking about it, and then all of a sudden you're going to bed still disagreeing on it, and the last thing you want to do is touch them. Like,
exactly.
So that sounds personal. Yeah, it might be, but no, he didn't vote for Trump, just to be clear. But there are times where we'll have a conversation. I literally look at him and he's like, "Let's not go to bed angry." I was like, "Roll over." Like,
But I think you also have to be able to be secure enough in your own self and your own views and your own values to know and maintain your individuality. My husband and I don't always vote the same, and that's okay. And I want to be fine with that. And he's okay with who I am and who I choose to vote for, and I'm okay because at the same time we want to be cohesive, but we also have to maintain that individuality. So if he wanted, I'm not going to say who he voted for. I'm not going to say who I voted for. We did not vote for the same person, and that's okay. And I respect my husband, and I still can't wait to see him in the bedroom.
sure, but now I know.
But you know, Joy, this election was different. If you look at the stats, I think 36 anti-women hate crimes were reported within 1 week of the election.
Anti-women hate?
Yes, yes. And that's according to the Southern Poverty Law Center. And so I think, to Jed's point, women are feeling very vulnerable. Remember, we talked about the fact that women after the election were going out in droves to get an IUD.
Oh, yeah, that's
because they thought that their birth control would be taken away from them.
Well, yeah, we're impacted politically by this.
Profoundly by it.
But I think that the sex drive does die. And, you know, we are building a wall around our vaginas. Because...
Yeah. I was ahead of Trump on that one. I already had a couple walls.
Because the guy says it's okay if he would grab a woman by her, you know what.
Yeah.
And women are either a 10 or a 1 or this one's fat or blah.
Yeah.
And you voted for that, schmuck? You voted for that? I'm not sleeping with you.
Yeah. That's what's happening.
That's where they're coming from. That's where they're coming from.
And I think it was compounded by the fact that a woman lost. You had a very strong, powerful woman up there facing a guy who was saying not so great things about women, and she lost.
Yeah.
So I think women around the country are saying, well, she may have lost, but I'm going to win.
Exactly.
I'm going to be in control.
Yeah.
And I think that I get it. I mean, I didn't support her, but I get it. I do get why when you were going against someone who was kind of demeaning to women and women felt threatened, that now they're saying, my candidate lost, I'm
We
not
are talking about the bedroom. So, but the reality is, the reality is, though, like 42% of women in this country did vote for Donald Trump, and so this is obviously the experience of one therapist that we're talking about. I wouldn't necessarily
94% of black women did not vote for him.
Okay, there you go. So let's hedge that.
Put that out there. 94% of black women.
Okay, let's do this. Women aren't the only ones having a bad reaction to the election. Yesterday, Trump surrogate Kellyanne Conway, remember her? The woman who never met a period or a comma in her life? She got into a heated debate with Clinton aides. Take a look.
Would rather lose than win the way you guys did.
No, you wouldn't.
Yes.
No, you wouldn't.
Yes.
That's very clear today. No, you wouldn't, respectfully. Do you think I ran a campaign where white supremacists had a platform? You going to look me in the face and tell me that?
It did. Kellyanne
Really?
did.
Okay, wait. So is Clinton's camp right about that the Trump campaign ran a racist campaign? Or are they just being sorely
Well, that's even overstating it. I don't think they ran a racist campaign, but when she says, are you going to look at me and say we gave a platform to white supremacists, that is a fact. It doesn't mean that everyone that voted for Trump is a racist, but as Whoopi says over and over, all the racists voted for Trump. So I think the fact that you won, just be honest, it's not even admitting anything.
Yeah.
The part that I find really upsetting is that as I watch her, you're the victor. Now be okay with the facts, because she gets personally offended by that. But they, all along their campaign, this was one of my biggest beefs with them. They would jump in 140 characters constantly about everything else. That one, you had to beg them to say, oh, we don't associate with them, and it took 10 times to ask them.
Right. Yeah.
So disavowing at the very end, which Kellyanne said on the show, he disavowed. Yeah, 2 weeks later, and we had to ask you 1,000 times. Like, if you really felt something, you should have had a visceral reaction to some of the things that happened, and they never did.
The other thing about it that I would say is, yes, we're sore losers, because a lot of the reason he won was based on racism, the Russian hacking, lies, continuous lying that went on. And the intrusion of the FBI at the last minute there, all of that seems to have basically distorted the whole election. So, yeah, we're sore losers because it wasn't really won legitimately as far as I'm concerned.
I think, to Sarah, to your point, and you're right, I don't think he ran a racist campaign, but he did give that platform. And I believe that the platform continues in his choice of Steve Bannon as his chief strategist. When you pick someone from the alt-right, which I think is really code for white supremacy, the white nationalist movement, when you pick that person to be your strategist, that's telling me that you're taking that into the White House. And while I would never say that everybody that voted, all the white voters that voted for Trump are racist, they voted for him in spite of the fact that he said things that were racist, that were bigoted, that were misogynist, and they looked the other way to that.
Exactly,
and that bothered
exactly why the women don't want to sleep with their husbands.
I do think, like, there are several cards that we can play. We can play the sexism card very easily. The racism card can also be played. It can be so dangerous.
All of them.
I know, but one thing, I think, you know, we looked at the hiring of Jeff Sessions for Attorney General, and these were unfounded accusations from 30 years ago.
He's a bigot.
But listen, Sonny, wait a second. If you're in a courtroom, okay, there are claps here, but if you're in a courtroom, there is no
Somebody testified under oath that he called an African-American man a boy.
I get this, but he also testified that he did not. So it's one person against another. And if you look at the whole picture, Jeff Sessions also was a champion and advocate for Rosa Parks to get a memorial.
Do not want to be in the seat defending Jeff Sessions.
I'm not defending it, but listen, if you look at the whole scope, we go by facts. There was no facts. It was completely unsubstantiated.
I don't think an assistant United States attorney sat under oath.
Okay, just let me finish. So Jeff Sessions also prosecuted members of the KKK. Jeff Sessions' right-hand man for a very long time that he hired was an African American. He championed and advocated for Rosa Parks. You can easily play that racist card.
You know what? Here's an idea. If you want to, we can talk about this a little bit more, because Paul Ryan is also in a little bit of trouble because he disavowed Trump's remark about the Mexican judge by saying that was a racist comment. And so now he's in trouble. So when we come back, let's see what the difference is between a racist comment and racism. All right, we'll be right back with more.
Coming up, A-list infidelity? How one superstar couldn't shake the constant tabloid rumors that her man was messing around.
Welcome back to the show. Okay, so we were talking about this one person who's cozying up to Trump these days, and that is Speaker Paul Ryan. He wasn't always a fan, but he denied that he ever said Trump was a racist. Here's what he did say back in June. This is then, watch. So he's saying basically that was a racist comment, but that Donald Trump is not a racist. Discuss.
Would you want us to talk amongst ourselves? Talk amongst yourselves. I'm waiting for you to do that.
Yeah, no, whatever. No, talk to us. I mean, talk to me. What do you think?
I think you can make a comment that's deemed racially insensitive or racist and not be a racist yourself. I'm going to give you an example. Joe Biden in 2007 said this about Barack Obama, who was soon to be President Obama. I mean, you got the first mainstream African American who was articulate and bright and clean and a nice looking guy. I mean, that's a storybook, man. When I heard that rubbed me the wrong way. That turned my stomach, and it sounded racist to me. But do I think Joe Biden as an individual is a racist? No. I think he misspoke. I think he misrepresented what he intended to say. I think Trump did that a lot. I think a lot of people did that a lot. I think you need to hold him accountable in that moment and say, hold on a second. That sounds racist. People in this country have been fighting against that for decades. But I don't think it necessarily darkens the whole person as a racist individual.
I see.
I also think we overuse the term racist, and especially in this climate of this particular campaign, the second you got on the topic of it, if you were questioning anything, it was, well, then you're racist. That's a dangerous term, because what happens is we're diluting it for when it actually applies.
So was it racist of Donald Trump when he and his father were excluding African Americans from getting apartments
That's
in there?
discrimination.
That's discrimination.
Well, it's also
discrimination
racist.
only against
based on race.
Discrimination only against one particular race.
The definition of a racist is a person who believes that one's own racial group is superior, or that a particular racial group is inferior to the others. So I think we use racism in places where discrimination and where
so I don't want them in my building. I don't want them in my building because
I think that's bad.
But part of the definition of racism is also using that perception and using that ideology to discriminate and to prescribe and justify the inferior treatment of those people.
That's what he and his father were accused of. I'm not defending it, but specifically when we talk about Trump voters, for example, we always jump to this racist thing. The problem here is there are racists, and we're going to lose that in this conversation if we overuse and dilute the term.
I get that, but 20%, I heard this today, 20% of the exit voters, people in the exit polls, who voted for Trump, said that the minorities get too many benefits. That sounds racist to me.
Well,
Are they talking about minorities in terms of like undocumented immigrants? Is that do we know how they were? No, but I'm just saying, do we know like in what context? Because a lot of these exit polls, I mean, you can read a lot into the situation, and I do agree with you. I think you can say something racist and not be a racist. An example of this is my daughter. I was like, Caroline, that is so annoying. And she's like, Mommy, why did you call me annoying? I said, you're not annoying, but what you're doing is annoying. And if you do it again, then you will be annoying. But you know, I think
the behavior
exactly. It's like two separate things.
It depends if you're in a powerful position. Go ahead.
I've never met a racist that says, yes, I am a racist.
Yeah.
And I think I've never met that person. And I think probably on this panel, out of all of the folks, I'm the one that has received this treatment.
Yeah.
Right?
Of course.
And so I will tell you, I do believe that there are people that make uninformed, bigoted comments that may not be racist. Yeah. However, once you're put on notice that that was a racist comment, and you continue to do that, now you are showing me who you are and where your heart is. And so when you talk about Donald Trump, he was, I'm certain, put on notice that the things that he was saying were bigoted, were racist, were misogynistic. And he continued, in my view, to say those things and to do those things. And I think when people tell you who they are repeatedly and they make those kinds of comments, then that's who they are. And I'm offended that Paul Ryan called it like he saw it and now is rewriting
Well, he's a hypocrite. Well, he didn't call him a racist. He called the comment racist.
But
so that's what he's saying.
He's rewriting history in a sense because we're seeing the same type of behavior.
The distinction you made, Sunny. Oh, sorry, Jen. The distinction between there's sometimes an ignorance or a lack of exposure where you say something that you don't hear yourself. You're right, because then there is a difference. There are a lot of people then that once you point that out, they say, "Gosh, I didn't realize that," and that's okay.
And that's different. When I would criticize I would criticize President Obama, not personally, but a policy issue. And you know how many times I got the word racist thrown at me? It was funny. I'm so far from racist.
I get called racist all the time.
But that's the frustration. That's the frustration of people who feel from my position. Look, I said this yesterday, I'm as white as they come, but I sometimes feel like if I make a criticism of someone who it happens to be African American, they could be anything, they could be white, but I'm criticizing policy, that word is thrown back at me, and then you're afraid to speak your mind. You're right, there are racists and they need to be condemned every step of the way. But there are also people who are criticizing policy, and that policy, that person may be white, may be black, may be whatever.
If the hood fits, wear it.
Right. That's true.
We'll be right back. Welcome back. Before I continue, I want to make clear that I was not referring to you when I did that very, very hilarious line. If the hood fits, wear it. I was talking about those people out there who claim they're not racist but actually are.
I got it.
That's it.
Yeah,
okay,
I got
now this is more fun anyway. Chris Pratt and Anna Faris, not Anna, are one of the biggest power couples in Hollywood. But Faris says, that's like Paula Faris.
I know people ask if we're related because she's the one person where we spell our names the same way.
You are.
I am. I know. Can't you tell?
Anna. But Anna Faris says that even though she knows how great their relationship is with Chris Pratt, she couldn't shake the constant false tabloid rumors that he was messing around on her. So, you know, there's all this tabloid stuff, and even though she knows he's not cheating on her, she's influenced by it. So the question for the panel really is, how much of what other people say influences you, I guess?
About what they say about your significant other?
Your significant or about yourself?
I think it's hard to read. I think if you're being honest with yourself, you have to admit that even if you say, you know, I know my partner, or I know my mom, or I know my friend, or, you know, I know this isn't them, you still read it, and it impacts you, if nothing else, than to feel like, gosh, my life is out there. Their life is out there. The whole world can say whatever they want, and people are real. We all have emotions, you know. The people say, oh, you become a celebrity and you give up your privacy. Maybe, but you don't give up your heart and soul and your emotions. You're still a human being, and it's okay to get
I would say that when it comes to my partner, I care less about what people say because
When it comes to your what?
My partner, like when it comes to Max, I feel I don't really care.
You trust him.
I trust him completely. It's funny though because I would say I do care what people say about me, and I always hope that age and wisdom would eventually take that away. And people promised when I turn 50, so someday that I'll feel a sense of like I don't care. I do care, and it matters. And there are days that gets me down more than others. But funny enough, I guess I have so much confidence in someone else like Max that I don't even have in myself.
And the confidence that you have in the two of you. Are we going down the road? Is it my turn next? Do I take the microphone? I think, I just thought we were going in order here. I think in a moment of honesty, you don't want to allow this negativity to affect your relationship. And I think I don't want it to affect my relationship, but in honesty, it does, because I know that people believe what they read, and that's what's sad. There's so many false news reports out there, and there's so many journalists out there that go on a source, an unnamed source, like you're selling skincare, correct?
I'm not. It's a lie.
You're not. Exactly. But there's so many fake news stories out there, and people don't do the research, or they're inundated with false news, and that's when it hurts, when you know that people are starting to believe and they're not questioning.
What about when people criticize you?
I don't care when people criticize me. I mean, they do that all the time.
So it can happen before 50.
Yeah. I'm very comfortable in what I say and who I am, but I do get affected when people talk about my spouse, or if someone accuses, it tells me that he's having an affair or anything like that. That bothers me. I remember when Manny was a resident, there was a nurse that was so after him. She knows she was. And she would bake.
Her name?
So she would bake for him all the time.
Bake?
And he bake. And one day he came home with this pineapple upside down cake. He was like, "This is so good. This is so good." So I grabbed it and I threw it in the trash because I was so upset about it. He even said, "You should get the recipe." I was like, "Furious."
So you didn't let him have a taste?
No. And it was sort of the thing in the hospital where they were talking about it, and it really upset me. And I can't imagine being in Anna Faris's position where someone is talking, about your man and saying that he's having an affair.
So that would bother you, but if they say something about you, it doesn't.
No.
And you're the opposite. Are the hardest though.
What about you, Joy?
Yeah, don't talk about my kids.
Yeah.
I'm so way past
Kids.
Oh, the kids now. The kids, that's a deal breaker.
Off limits.
Yes.
No.
That I will drop somebody if they say something mean against my kids.
Yeah, right? Yeah. No.
But as far as I'm way past 50, so I think that if it's true, then you have to let it in. If it's not true, then you have to say, is this true or isn't it true? If it's not true, let it go. But if it's true,
how do you know if it's true? How do you know if it's true?
You should know yourself by the time you're 50.
My therapist says there are such things as emotional blind spots where you don't know if it's true because you're blocking.
Yeah, that's right. You know if it's true.
I paid good money for that.
That's good. Emotional blind spot.
Yeah.
I like
that. Okay, we got to go. We'll take a break. We'll be right back. Christmas, and it's so nice to get a gift.
I love that.
Okay, here's a topic. Earlier this week, Boston Celtics player Al Horford took a one-game paternity leave. Why? He wanted to be at his daughter's birth. But the post-game show that night, one anchor wasn't happy about it. Watch.
Okay.
Exactly. So the question is, should the size of the paycheck have something to do with whether you should be in the room when your wife gives birth?
No. Baby and mama come first. I don't care. Let me tell you. I don't care if I were married to a basketball player, to an actor. I don't care what you're doing. Your family, your baby and your mom. I don't care what you have to do. Nothing is as important as baby and mama.
Well, to reduce the The idea of giving birth to solely the physical act of pushing the baby out is to be ignorant to the experience as a whole. Because as someone that went through this, before I had the baby, Max and I were going to stagger our parental leaves. Because I thought, I'll take him, then you take him, and then we'll eventually have to figure something out.
Right.
One day, I mean, like, I instantly kind of fell into a bit of a depression, and I really struggled. I remember being in the hospital and crying. I hadn't even seen the baby, and Max came in and saw Bridesmaids was on this, and he's like, okay, this is going to help. It's, you know, it's coming. But he was probably more essential to me through that time than the baby, but I could not have done it without him. We ended up having to pair up our leaves because that baby would have been in trouble if he was left with just me. I was not okay. Like, I was really struggling.
But kudos to Max for taking his paternity leave, because you hear of companies that are offering it and guys are too ashamed. I remember we have 3 kids, and after the birth of one of them, you know, I had a cesarean. My husband went back to work the next day. He had just had a promotion, and he told me about, you know, the meeting at work that day, and he said they introduced him as, you know, just receiving this promotion, and they said congratulations to him for having the dedication to come back to work. His wife just had a baby, and he was applauded. And I said, well, that's great, but what that is doing is shaming men to feeling like they can't stay home. It bothered me a lot. It bothered me a lot that he was almost pressured. So guys, if you have the chance to take paternity leave, it means a lot to your spouses, and yes, you can connect with your infants, even
I think I'm one of the only people at the table that feels a little bit differently. I feel a little bit differently, only that, you know, my husband had surgeries to perform on the day that I was having our daughter. I respected that. I mean, is he supposed to not operate on the folks that needed the help instead of and come to me?
Well, there are doctors. There are other doctors.
There are,
There's
but
only one of you.
Those were his patients, and I felt comfortable. Now, he did make it to I had a C-section, and he made it on time. He made it. But I was very understanding of the fact that he had other responsibilities.
Yeah. And my husband's a lawyer. Not as much was on the line.
Lives were not lost that day.
All I know is I gave birth without him in the room, and the kid came out anyway. We'll be right back. She did. She came out. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Holland Taylor. I'm looking forward to chatting it up with those great ladies on The View. I've played a few as sort of ballsy ladies in my day, so I have a feeling I'll fit right in.
Our show is like 2.5 men, and the practice, Emmy-winning actress Holland Taylor has been fantastic at playing strong, sometimes difficult women. I can't believe you're not on this panel. Now she's on Broadway in the all-star revival of The Front Page. Please welcome the lovely and talented Holland Taylor.
What an audience. Waiting in the green room, you all sounded like, you know, being tossed to very, very happy lions. Roaring through the building.
No, but Holland and I did the vagina monologues in 2000 together.
On stage.
On
in New
stage.
York. You're a wonderful actress.
You're a real actress.
But now you've written plays, too, I hear.
Yes, that's not enough about me now. You know, watching you, seeing that clip, it reminded me it's been exactly a year since Charlie Sheen announced that he was HIV positive.
Yes.
So, have you seen him? Are you in touch with him?
I haven't seen it. Well, I've not been in L.A. that much, but we text occasionally. I texted him after that how much I admired him and I loved him and cared about him, which he knows I do. We have a very affectionate relationship, and he usually, when he texts me back, he usually says, you know, I'm fine, Mom. How are you? He's a very sweet man. I always had a wonderful relationship with him. He always treated me really beautifully. Very princely. He has beautiful manners.
The other thing is,
he has a wonderful father.
Oh, I love his father.
Brought up his boys well.
So I understand that you're not a fan of Donald Trump.
No, I'm really not. The man is crazy like a fox, though.
What about this whole thing? He's now running around thanking people for electing him.
It's amazing. It's like a victory lap, or like, you know, he won the race and he's going to run all around and make everybody cheer him again. I think he loves the applause, he loves the cheering, and he loves being out in front of people where
you think he loves the job?
I don't think he wants this job.
I agree. Really?
I think he's He's doing everything to show us he can't really do it very well. So I'm pretty scared. If you ever read his tax plan, if you want to see exactly how he plans to do the opposite of what he told everybody he's going to do.
I know.
I mean, now they start to tax you, income tax at about $15,000 a year, which is already, they shouldn't tax you if that's what you're making to live on for a year.
Yeah.
$15,000. Now he wants to lower that to $10,000 a year. So I mean, he's planning actually, I think, to do the opposite of everything he said he was going to do in order to incite his base. And
Well, do you think they'll finally get it, that they got duped?
I think they're starting to, as they see who he's appointing. Goldman Sachs people to run the Treasury. I mean, good God.
Yeah.
Goldman Sachs stock has gone straight up since he's been elected.
On a better note, as I mentioned, you are starring on Broadway in the front page. Now, you're alongside a fabulous cast. You've got Nathan Lane, John Goodman, John Slattery, who've all recently been here. How did you feel when your colleagues at Hamilton spoke to Vice President? Do you call him an elect? You don't really call him
Vice President.
Vice President-elect
Mike Pence.
Trump.
Yeah. How did you feel when they spoke to him?
Well, I actually, if you look at the clip, which is available online, the speech was written by Lin-Manuel, who wrote the play, the musical, and it was beautifully crafted, elegantly written, and very polite. And very imploring. We are afraid that you might not be representing all of us, and we want to all be included in your vision for the country. The only disrespect was shown was from some members of the audience. Pence was booed by some people who were there at the theater, not the cast members at all, who were very, very respectful. And I think the theater is, Trump wants it to be a nice place. The theater is an alive place where people say what they feel. And it should stay that way.
That's right. Well, I saw the front page on Tuesday. I saw your play. It is marvelous. I hope everyone goes to see it. You were fantastic. What was interesting to me was the pace of it. It was so fast-paced.
The thing about this play is, first of all, there are a lot of people. There's about 25 actors in this play, which is a huge cast, so you don't see that anymore. But plays typically had that many in it, wonderful big comedies in the 20s and 30s. It's never done anymore. So if you
too expensive.
It's too expensive, but you see something like this on Broadway now, you probably aren't going to see it again. But the thing about this one is Tom Stoppard, the great English playwright, says this is the finest American comedy because it has depth. It's very, very, very brilliant writing, a very natural speech, all overlapping and entwined, the way we would all be if we were all talking together in a pit here. So it's very lively, very, very lively and exciting, but it has depth to it. So it's a comedy that has some resonance.
And you have depth.
I have depth. I wear the greatest hat.
Oh, it's great.
The hat is
It's nice in addition to see this hat. But really, this is most everybody in this show usually plays bigger parts. Everybody wanted to be in this play and play these wonderful character parts. And so you have about 25 brilliant actors, all of whose faces you would know.
And everyone cheers when they come out. Nathan Lane comes out, everyone cheers. John Goodman comes out.
The door keeps opening, and they're, oh my God, he's in it. Oh my God, she's in it. Oh my God. But the thing that's fun is for all of us, we spend a lot of time in the wings because we aren't on stage all the time. And the backstage life is so exciting. And you know, there's a certain feeling you get when everybody's sitting around chewing the fat and sort of listening to watching the monitors to see special. We all watch the monitors to see special moments.
You're talking about the backstage life. We want to ask you about your love life. You've been dating actress Sarah Paulson from American Horror Story for quite some time. And she gave you a shout out from the Emmys on the red carpet, and then when she won for The People versus OJ, and then you tweeted her back, "I love you," and people really seem to embrace the two of you.
They have.
How about all that support?
Well, it is a wonderful support, and I think Sarah, being a younger generation, she is very much standing on the right side of history. And her shout-out at the Emmys was amazing and very, very moving. And the public seemed to be very thrilled by it. And it's a new life.
You know,
it's
Holland,
a new time.
I know a bit about age differences in relationships. I want to salute you. How do you navigate? You have 32 years between you. You're one of my favorite couples. I adore watching you. How do you navigate it?
To tell you the truth, I can only say what the old comic said, dating a very much younger girl as he always did. He said, well, you know, what can I tell you? If she dies, she dies.
Thank you very much for coming here. Lovely to see you. And good luck. That's Holland Taylor. And the front page is at the Broadhurst Theater right here in New York City until January 29th. Oh, it's a short run. We'll be right back. Gotta get there. I think we don't have time to talk anymore, so we're just going to have to say have a great day, everyone, and take a little time. Come on. To enjoy the view.